Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy DC coming back with another bullseye of a video here today on the channel. Let's talk about how to thicken up your vocals. A couple of different techniques that will help your vocals gain a lot of mass, a lot of size, a lot of weight, a lot of girth, a lot of chin, okay? A lot of, fat, So let's look at it today. If y'all like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, okay? And down below, support the channel. Check the links, okay? Go grab a plugin preset, a vocal template, go grab whatever you want, or join the channel membership next to the subscribe button. Let's get to it right now. Let's listen to the track that we're working with here right now. This kind of reminds me of like some Drake vocals.
I just came into the game like the boy already had a green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in their head, sitting in a window. The album made by my bed, not in the studio. All these different raps to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me, bed in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you used to know. Don't wanna go back to someone that you won't call. I'ma flood the map till every drop equal withdrawal.
So you see what we have right here is almost kind of like a Drake vocal, melodic, but it lacks a lot of body. So let's look at some different ways that I like to add body to vocals. The very first plugin I love to use is the Spectre, right? Because not only is it just pushing the actual body, but it's also adding harmonic density to the vocals. So let's actually turn it off so you guys can hear exactly what it's doing.
I just came into the game like the boy already had a green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in their head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, not in the studio. All these different raps to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me, bed in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you.
So by just blending just a little bit of that like low mid using the Spectre, we're adding a little bit of the belly to the vocal. This is very important to have a balanced vocal because as you can hear, my vocal is very bright. And whenever you have a lot of brightness, whenever you have a lot of sugar, sometimes you got to add a lot of salt just so that it could balance everything out. A lot of bit of sweet, a lot of bit of spicy, okay? So that's how we figure these type of things. When you have a super bright vocal, just remember, or a super dark vocal, remember you kind of always got to balance it out a little bit so it makes sense in the track, okay? So after that, another wonderful plugin that I love to use to get to add body to vocals is True Iron. So I've been messing around with True Iron for a very long time, and let's see.
I just came into the game like I'm getting stuck in their head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, not in the studio. All these different raps to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me, bed in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you used to know. Don't wanna go back to someone that you won't call. I'ma flood the map till every drop equal withdrawal. It's the type of song you make to make 'em check the info. I don't got a team, but you know it makes my Knicks though. Everybody around me believes I'm big bro. Been making this shit since 19, but not here though. Millionaires, I'm teaching how to dream without a pillow. I'm out for antidepressants, don't need an antidote. Shawty coming whenever she.
So I like that one, but just applying a little bit of that transformer saturation is an absolutely terrific way of beefing up your vocals, okay? And I like to click just the morph button, and I love the way it just gives a lot of that body. I don't play around with it too much. I just hear one of the ones that I like, and I just that's it, pretty much how I go about it. Another great way to thicken up your vocals is sometimes on Fab Filter the default is set to like 30, so you might be like, oh man, I'm not cutting enough, like, man, I gotta cut even more. So make sure something as simple as making sure your Q view is on like 6 dB and stuff like that. And maybe you want to do less frequency sweeps. Sometimes you don't need to take away as much from the vocal as you think is you need to do that. Like somebody who's just like a clean freak who's overly cleaning their room. They just mopped the floor, now they mopping it again. Like, come on, it ain't gonna get that much cleaner. I just try to keep the frequency sweeps to somewhere about 3 to 4. You freaking keep it about 3 to 4. Something that's gonna put in that work, but also not just rip the complete life out of your vocals, okay? So those are some great ways that I love to add body to vocals. Another technique that I like to use is purposely picking a parallel compressor that will have density, like a tube compressor. The one that I like to choose right here specifically for this type of track was the Abbey Road RS124, knowing that it's very mu, it has just a creamy density to it right off the rip.
I just came into the game like the boy already had a green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in their head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, and I'm in the studio. All these different roses to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me, bed in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you used to know. Don't wanna go back to someone that you won't call. I'ma flood the map till every drop equal withdraw. It's the type of song you make to make them check the info. Only thing glistening on me is my skin tone. Oversized pair of baggy jeans and a zip out. Everything rolling what I need in these headphones. Trust me, I'ma see the double team. I'm so shooting up. Wondering where the hell I got this ego. All I'm doing.
So by purposely picking a Verimute compressor as my parallel compressor, you know, I added a lot of weight, and that's why you got to pick your parallel compressor with intention. You know, you can't just like sit around and just just pick any old parallel compressor. Like, you know, do it with a little bit of thought in your head. Of course, in the beginning, use one parallel compressor until you absolutely perfect it, and then you move on to the next one to the point where you know where they all sound like Skyrim. You know exactly when to use this spell, this fire spell against like you know, an ice goblin or something like that. You know, ice mage. You feel me? You got to know what goes with what. So if I want body, I'm gonna pick this Verimute stock compressor because I know that's gonna give me that style of density. Okay. Another great way that I like to add body to my vocals too is, you know, sometimes what I'll do is I'll start to thin out my background vocals even more. So just based on contrast, now that I've showed you this super skinny model compared to this thick IG model, now you see the difference. You feel me? But if I put that thick IG model next to a bunch of other thick IG models, you just regular. You feel me? So that point of reference theory is what gives us the opportunity, our ear, to hear like, yo, man, like, okay, now I have something to compare it to. So now just based on you know, having something to compare it to, now I know how big this vocal really is, how fat it really is, you know?
In the studio, all these different roses to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me, bed in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you used to know. Don't wanna go back to someone that you want. Team, I'm so shooting up. Wondering where the hell I got this ego. All I'm doing daily is just sitting watching trees grow. You know what I want, baby, you know what I feel for. Trying to be the person.
So let's say, for example, I take out this EQ that's rolling off all that low end. Now all of a sudden, like it just the lead vocal feels smaller because by comparison, now it's got his chubby brother next to it.
Shooting up, wondering where the hell I got this ego. All I'm doing daily is just sitting watching trees grow. You know what I want, baby, you know what I feel for. Trying to be the person, you ain't gotta change.
So by comparison, it automatically kind of sounds like, oh damn, that lead vocal just kind of got bigger, just with that basic mindset, understanding that, you know, hey, you know, compare and contrast. I thin out these background vocals a little bit more. Now my lead vocal is gonna, you feel me? And sometimes I might do the opposite. I might get aggressive on the lead vocals and purposely thin them out, thin them out, thin them out for real, and then let my background vocals have more meat on the bones. It depends on how it all sounds like, right? But that's another wonderful technique that I like to use to, you know, at thicken up vocals. Let me show you guys another trick that I like to also do to get thick vocals. There's this plugin called Auto Tune Mic Mod. Okay, this is another way I like to thicken up my vocals. Is I use a mic modeling emulation plugin. Sometimes I might use Sphere Mic Mod. I really don't use that, only just for recording. You feel me? But here's what you can do. This plugin is fire because you could go in here and be like, damn, what's a thick microphone? I wouldn't consider the U87 a thick microphone, but definitely, you know, like let's go to Telefunken U47. Telefunken U47.
Shooting up, wondering where the hell I got this ego. All I'm doing daily is just sitting watching trees grow. You know what I want, baby, you know what I feel for. Trying to be the person. I just came into the game like the boy already had a green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in their head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, and I'm in the studio. All these different roses to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm trying to keep you here with me.
It makes the vocal sound warmer, but also like it brings a little harmonic density in it. And then at that point, you could push the little proximity button, and that would thicken your vocals up too.
I just came into the game like The boy already had the green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in the head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, and I'm in the studio. All these different routes to the bread like I'm Julio. I'm tryna keep it real with me, vet in the funeral. I know how you act when I'm someone that you used to know. Don't wanna go back to someone that you won't.
See, that's not gonna work on this song because the song is already kind of like in a good place. But let me take off the true iron though.
I just came into the game like the boy already had the green light. That's why I don't care if it sound right. I'm still learning how to make what it feel like. I'm getting stuck in the head, sitting near a window. The album made by my bed, and I'm in the studio. All these different routes.
See, the problem with that mic emulation, you guys get the idea, but that mic emulation U47 kind of darkens out the top end, which you could compensate for after the fact. But yeah, it's sensitive to low end, so it brings more low end out of that vocal that's already there. So I just showed you a bunch of techniques. I just showed you using the Spectre, the concept of harmonic density, you placing it where you want it to be and stuff like that, and thickening the parts that you want to. After that, we also went over the mic modeling emulation, which is pretty dope, using that auto-tune mic mod plugin, picking the emulation of a mic that you know is thick, and like that, boom, you kind of putting yourself in a good position, the ballpark. We also looked at picking up parallel compressor, on purpose, knowing that, yo, that's a fat compressor. That Verimu is a thick compressor. El Rey from acoustic audio, that's a thick compressor. If I parallel blended it in, like, yo, I'm instantly kind of adding some size without really affecting the rest of my vocal chain because it's in parallel. There's a little type of stuff like this. You feel me? You start to get an understanding, and that's how you get thick vocals that sit in the mix. All right. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Support the channel. Go grab a plugin preset, go grab a mastering preset, go grab anything. We appreciate you regardless, as we will keep giving these gems to you. All right. So I want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Appreciate y'all. Peace.